Okay, so I would like to start out by welcoming everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you to our panel that are going to be providing the critique. I'm going to ask each member to introduce themselves one at a time, with just briefly who they are, what they do, and how long they've been doing it would be great. Mike, can I ask you to start first?
Oh yeah, the old guy. Hello everyone. My name is Mike Giovinazzo, and I've been doing photography for about 45 years now. So been around Ottawa for about 30 years. Been executive of various camera clubs. Got so busy with the auto photography meetup group, which I'm now running. And so I've dropped those and just run the auto photography meetup group, which is about 1,700 members right now.
Wow,
Nice.
that's great. Yeah, Mike is probably our most senior photographer on the panel tonight. I'm going to go down the list according to the icons on my screen, and I happen to be next. I'm Bill Davidson. I'm a photographer. I've been doing it for about 30 plus, 32 years, whatever. Picked up a camera when I was 16 years old. And like most of us, I started out shooting sunsets and flowers and birds and that kind of stuff. And eventually, as I got a little older and my friends started to get married, I started doing weddings, family photos, that kind of stuff. I've only been doing model photography since 2015, so I don't have nearly as much experience as Mike does, but I've had a lot of experience behind the camera. And I'm a technical guy, so I like to fiddle with gadgets and make things work, kind of like this meeting tonight. Lordell, would you take?
Yeah, absolutely. Lord Al Greenyer. Been doing photography about 4 years now. More seriously, I guess. Kind of like yourself. Started off doing, landscape, macro photography early on in high school, and then kind of saw the challenge of portrait photography about 4 years ago. Um, yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's an awesome challenge. Um, Rather than having a whole lot of time to take a sunset photo, you have to be a little bit more direct in what you're doing, and you have to be much more calculated. So I enjoy that part of it.
Perfect, perfect. Mark?
So I'm Mark Daverness. I've been doing photography for about 11 years. I picked up a camera when I was living in Europe, and I really started off on the streets of Paris taking pictures. And then when I was living in Belgium, shooting, all over Belgium. And so then I came back to Canada. I joined the Camera Club of Ottawa, and I started off there. And then just I've always been with portraits, interested in that. I did nature photography with wild animals, things like that, but I've been doing strictly portraits for the about last 2 years. And so now I'm getting more into fashion, more into avant-garde, some different kind of portraits. So
Wonderful, wonderful.
hopefully I have some interesting stuff to say tonight.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Ashley?
Hi, my name is Ashley Belote. I have been modeling for about 6 years. I live in Los Angeles. I work here as well as in New York, Florida, wherever the work takes me. And my husband is actually a photographer and videographer. So we work a lot together.
Oh, that's really exciting. Wonderful. And Francis?
Hi, I'm Francis Chow. I've always been interested in photography, but I only got a really good DSLR about 4 years ago. And I got I got into serious photography through helping a friend who has a project called the Goddess Project, and she makes these elaborate costumes. And I was just assisting on the photo shoots, and I started liking it. And I got a camera, and I started taking pictures, and I'm kind of her main photographer now. So that's how I got into it, and I got into it shooting models right away because of this project, and I'm just sticking to this genre. It's exciting and it's complicated enough to not be boring.
Oh,
There's
terrific.
always something to learn, and it's also a good artistic outlet, a creative outlet, versus something that's more analytical.
Well, I'm really glad you said that because I'm a firm believer that photography is just a form of visual arts. And I think that it gives us a way to express ourselves in an artistic way. And I think that kind of segues into my next part here is I want to let people know that we're not here to judge. We're not going to award points. We're not going to award prizes. This is not a criticism of the work of our peers. We're simply going to critique the image and offer our own personal opinion about how the image might be improved, either through photographic techniques, modeling, posing techniques, maybe makeup, how to apply it for flash photography and natural light photography, etc. We're only going to offer what we know, what we think will help people to improve their images. We're certainly not here to pass judgment over anybody's work or to try and elevate ourselves above anyone else. As you can see, we've got an excellent panel ranging from 45 years of experience to only a couple of years of experience. I think that's fantastic. It gives a really honest and balanced view of how images are interpreted. And yeah, I think it'll be a fun thing. With COVID the way it is, we're all kind of cooped up in our house and not able to go out and shoot. And this is, I think, a great way to continue to develop our skills and have fun in photography. All right, I guess to get the party started, I am going to introduce this shot. Um, this one is, oh, Francis, I'm going to need help. Tita,
Okay.
Tita Cat?
It's one of
Tatika.
Tatika?
Yes.
Very good. Model Tatika. The MUA and photographer is Jephthah Lee. The assistant stylist is Darius Rentz. And Klaus Lorison Artistry. Is that Klaus or Klaus?
Oh, that I don't know.
Okay. Well, if I made a mistake,
Tati is
I'm
the one that
really
submitted
sorry.
the
Please remember, this is our first episode. And as you might have noticed, my eyes are getting bad and my laptop screen is small. And I'm struggling to read. Anyway, this is our first image submitted. And I would love to, well, I guess as the host, sorry guys, too many laptops, too many mouses, too many things. There we go. I will start and give my thoughts on this. I really love this image. I think it's great. It's artistic. Um, Composition is really good. I like the way it's framed. I think I would have avoided covering her eye with her finger and the butterfly. I know that it looks like they were trying to get that little butterfly to be right in the eyeball, and I don't know, it's not working for me. But everything else I love about the shot. What are your thoughts, Mike?
I agree with you. It's a high impact shot, really, really well executed. It's not just the photography. There's a lot of styling that went into this shot as well. The color palette essentially made her hair and matches the silver. Little bits of gold hair here matches the gold here. So those two things really work well together. And you can see that they work to try to make this not just a photograph, but a story. I'm not sure if I agree that covering the eye is really good, but this eye is a little smaller than the other one. So I might have sort of got the model to look a little bit more intense. But all in all, I mean, it works well. The fingers are good leading lines towards this eye over here, which is kind of the center of attention. The only thing I might want to change a little bit is get rid of this distraction down in the corner here. That little bit of an arm showing doesn't really help the picture, but the rest of it works really, really well for me.
Fantastic. Lordell?
Yeah, I mean, I think both of what you guys have already said. The details in this shot are amazing, and the accessories it fits the entire theme of the entire photo. Yes, the butterfly is in the eye. I would have liked to seen that finger drop a little bit. And I also agree with the spot down in the left-hand corner, just the line there. But also on the other side, there's a line as well. So maybe just a little bit of a closer crop would have looked a little bit nicer and got the exact same effect. But it's a gorgeous photo. The stylist in MUA did fantastic job.
Awesome. Mark, what are your thoughts?
I think it works very well as an editorial shot. Personally, I would have just the hand that's covering the eye, I would have just taken that out, because for me it's too amputated. That's when you crop the elbow and things like that. But it's really the jewelry. That's well shot. It's sharp, and it's very eye catching. That's the one thing I really like about it. I just would have zoomed out to have more of an effect, so that I can keep the symmetry of the shoulders. And maybe for me personally, it's just my own opinion, is maybe darken, make it a little bit more contrasty. But I think overall, in the shadow on the white background, you could maybe whiten that out. But just with the nails and things and the hair, it's just really, really well done.
Awesome. Now, you've done some metallics like gold photography
Yeah,
recently, and I think I've seen
nails.
some of your stuff. You like contrasty shots yourself, right?
Yeah, if I'm doing in the studio, I'd prefer contrast, but that's a personal style. It
Well,
really depends on the photographer. But with nails like that, I have my own version of that with gold and red. So it's again with the eye, it's always hard to not cover the eyes, but it's little personal preference. But this is a really eye-catching picture. When I saw it on Facebook, I was impressed.
well, that's what we had said earlier, right? About that uh, every artist has their own take on what they like and don't like. And that's why I brought it up. It wasn't to single you out. I just wanted to point that I like contrasty shots myself.
Yeah.
And
But
but this one really works.
Yeah. But what I think are good with these nails is that on mine they have the links, they have the nail extensions, and they have a little jewel thing at the bottom.
Yeah,
Whereas this really works for the image because it doesn't the nails don't take your attention from the eye. So it really works well with this look.
yeah, awesome.
Uh,
A- Ashley, what are your thoughts?
I am obsessed with the styling of this picture. So I have followed Tati for a while, and she is constantly doing a bunch of fine art concepts and just killing it. So what I am seeing, especially with the metallic nails, the finger jewelry, I'm getting that she was trying to have this cage-like effect over her face. And I love it. I agree with the butterfly obstructing the eye, because I feel like I've lost the human aspect of this. The only human factor for me is the one exposed eye. If she was able to show a little more of her lip position, maybe her hand more sideways, so it was wrapped more around, I would have more of that human aspect pulling me in, but I still love the image.
Awesome, awesome.
and one thing, what I would suggest to the photographer is you could also do with those nails to have it on coming from above and below, because I find that works very well with nails.
Well, I'm not sure how other photographers work, but I can tell you that if I was doing this shoot, I probably would have taken 50, 60 frames, and I would have had the model make slight adjustments during
Yeah.
each shot. I so I'm guessing that this is one of of a number of shots that the
Yeah.
photographer really loved, and this is the one they chose. And for maybe they really like that butterfly right over the pupil, the framing, the expression. Again, I want to make it really clear, there is no right or wrong. We're not the oracles of photography here. We're just a bunch of photographers, and we want to share our thoughts on how we might make this image, or make all of the images a little bit better, and point out the things we really, really love. When all we do is share on Facebook and people click like, we don't know why they like it. Do they like the lighting? Do they like the style? Do they like the hair? Do they like the person in the photo? Maybe they're friends. So by having these reviews, we're giving a little bit of feedback, and hopefully people will grow and learn a little bit from it. All right, Francis, you're up, buddy.
I agree with almost everything that's been said. I agree with Mike that the little shadow in the bottom left should be gotten rid of. Oh, I forgot to start off with something positive. I love this image. I love the color palette. I love how the nails and her hair and her eyes all match. Um, yes, I would probably drop that one finger down a little to show her eyes a bit more, and lighten the shadow over her right shoulder. And I agree with Ashley that the human contact part are the eyes and the lips. So maybe a bit redder lips would bring that part out, that expression, human expression. Anyway, that's I agree with them. All the other comments as well.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Before we move on, does anyone else want to add anything?
I just think, even though what I said about contrast, I think it was really well shot with the lighting and everything. Nothing's overblown. It's just really well done.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next photo. Give me a second to bring up the info for it. I have this image was submitted by RLC Photography, Clement in Florida. The model is Caroline Jones, and Caroline has a background in dance and is trying to get a start in modeling. I've got my head turned, so did that carry over to the microphone okay?
Yes.
That's
Okay,
perfect.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't talk to the wall behind me. Okay, Mike, your thoughts?
Okay, good. I think the maker is really looking to put a lot of interest on the model herself, and because she's the darkest element here, again, the contrast brings your eye there, and the model is also framed by the staircase and some of the stuff that's on the side here. So your eye immediately goes to the model, and obviously that's what the subject's all about. So that's great. There's a lot of space over here on the side that's probably not necessary other than to use the logo, but I'd probably just crop it down here and sort of put the emphasis on the model. The pose essentially is something I'll leave over to Ashley, but I'd make some adjustments for that pose. And other than that, I see the eye goes to the right place and the expression is pleasing. So all in all, a successful image.
Excellent. I guess I kind of went out of turn. I handed the ball over to you a little sooner than I should have.
Oh, sorry.
I'm looking at the grid with the pictures on the screen, and you're at the top of the list, Mike. So I keep going to you at the first. But I'm of the opinion that the sky and the parking lot behind her is overexposed, and because it's bright, it draws my eye to the image. Other than that, I think it's great. Like you said, the model's pose might be tweaked a little bit, but the expression is good, the photography is good, the subject is in focus. Overall, it's a great photo. I think Mike's right. A simple crop, a change in the crop would make this a much more effective photograph. Lordell?
I think Mike nailed it with the contrast. You definitely know who the subject is. My issue maybe would have been with the depth of field. I don't necessarily need to see the large building or the trees in the background in full focus. I would have dropped that down a little bit. The other thing, I mean, post-processing wise, the ADT sign would probably be gone for me, along with the hair that's on her arm. But I mean, other than that, like, it's a great photo. Like, the contrast works, the outfit works, everything's great. Just a few technical details I would have changed.
Lordell, if we can maybe get technical for just a minute.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
mentioned the depth of field. Now, this is obviously an outdoor shot on a bright sunny day.
Yeah.
Opening the aperture up to 2.8 or that to get the depth of field, the blurry background results. would be difficult in a bright daylight environment. So can
The
you
only
offer a
thing that I would
suggestion?
say about that is that they're definitely in the shade where the sun is coming across is just above um, the logo.
Yeah.
So they have some play there. It's a little bit of a darker area. They could back off the f-stop a little bit, go a little bit more wide open, just to kind of bring that focus more towards the model.
Okay. Now, I don't want to turn it into a debate again. This is for
No, for
educational
sure.
purposes. If I open the aperture when I'm taking this photo, the
Hmm.
sky is already overexposed. So it's just going to blow out. The whole background will turn white. Has anyone here used an ND filter before?
Yeah.
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 I think an ND filter would give you the ability to open the aperture up without blowing out all the highlights and making everything just go white behind her. So if you were looking for that blurry, buttery background kind of a feel, I would throw an ND filter on my lens and then open it up. So if you had a 3-stop ND filter, you could open it up 3 full stops and still get, the blurry background without changing the exposure too much.
Do we have the EXIF data on our images when they're submitted?
No, unfortunately, they were sent through Facebook, so we
Okay.
lose all of the metadata.
Okay, that's too bad.
Okay.
So for people who are watching, by the way, Lordell noticed this line right here. And he knows that this is the sunny part and this is the shady part. So he knew exactly where the sun was. And that's how he was able to tell by looking at the photo.
Excellent. And yes, Lordell, I interrupted you. Did you have anything else you
Oh
wanted to
no,
add?
I was saying like you could also do that in post processing as well with a graduated filter that's gonna kind of
Yeah, true enough.
dumb that down a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, an ND filter would work as well. I just think there could have been some play there with the lighting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just
Mhm.
wanted to kind of give people some direction that they might want to investigate if they were going to try and shoot it. So I
For sure.
wanted to drop the ND filter suggestion.
Mhm.
Mark, your thoughts, buddy?
The pose works really well for me. The only issue I have as a photographer is copyright is with ADT. That's for me signage and my eye bounces around back and forth. But I like how the shape of her body, how that really works for me, and how she's she's like framed within the shape of these stairs. I think that was really well done. Maybe pose her further back so you didn't get the sign, but uh, a good use of the location, that for sure. I was just for me is like you said, Mike, with the background is overexposed. For me as a photographer, that kind of distracts me from her, and the line on the side of the of what is it like a pylon or something. It kind of bounces in between. So for me as a photographer, when I do black and white, which I think for this image works really well, is just to have. I was with Kappa. I was always told that keep the blacks black and the whites white. But I think the idea of having a black and white for this was well thought of.
Awesome. Awesome. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to start out by saying this was shot in Florida. Florida is notorious for having the most unpredictable and fluctuating cloud coverage. Every 5 seconds, it's bright, then a cloud, and boom. So that is like the hardest obstacle for all the photographers that shoot outside in Florida. So I get why the photographer was having some difficulty with everything, but I will say I do love Caroline's use of the staircase as a frame. I always suggest to models when you're shooting outside, you have to kind of interact with your environment. You have to make your body language mimic the shapes around you. In studio, you have the luxury of you are the only thing in the frame. So I like that she's holding the rails. If she wanted to take it up a notch, she could then like start with exercises of like raising a leg up on the rail, leaning back. I know she was restricted in this skirt, but I think she did very well with the wardrobe she had.
Excellent. Thank you. Francis, what are your thoughts?
I really like that it's in black and white because often if there's strong geometry in an image, it works well in black and white because of light and dark. I would have maybe taken it from a slightly lower angle to elongate her legs a bit, and I do find that ADT sign distracting. And then the other comments made, yes, the background needs to be blurred out more, and that can probably be done in post or an ND filter. So yeah, that's it. I like this image. It's good.
Awesome. Excellent. Any other comments before we move on? No, we're good.
I
Okay.
think the wardrobe was really good for this shot and the heels.
Sorry?
Just, I think personally, the wardrobe was a good choice for this shot.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Like having a skirt, it probably wouldn't have worked as good. So
Yes. Give me a moment to pull up the info for this one. All right, this image is brought to us by Ka Kim Mai. Am I
Yes.
saying that right, Francis?
It's actually Ashley submitted it through me. So
Oh, I'm sorry, the model.
Yes, she goes by Kim, but yes, Ka Kim Mai.
Excellent. And the photographer is Cheesy Littles? Is that what I got here?
I've never met them before. That sounds correct with what I remember she sent me.
Okay, I wanted to, I thought maybe your husband was the shooter because you submitted the image. Okay, the Kim has a strong background in fashion and gown modeling. She's done a good deal of print and runway work. And we'll go full screen. All right. Um, well, I love the dress. And this image, of course, was shared in our Facebook group earlier today. And everybody is just crazy about that dress. All the comments that we've seen in the group have been very, very positive. Wonderful, wonderful piece of work. The only thing I would have liked to have seen was the bottom of that dress. It's cut off before, so you don't get the full effect. The image is lovely. I love the perspective of the buildings behind her. The color of the windows goes really well with the outfit and the hairpiece. Absolutely gorgeous. The only thing I would have done was shown her shoes. I'm sure there's a wonderful pair of shoes that went with that dress. Mike, your thoughts?
For sure, the dress catches your eye, but I think it's more than just the dress. What we're seeing here is a beautiful color palette. The color of the dress and the blues in the windows complement one another. So the foreground and the background tie together, and it brings the picture together. The model looking down essentially creates a visual symmetry where you kind of see the dress. You know, you see your eye. She's looking down, and your eye kind of just follows the circular pattern. It's very important to lead somebody's eye through the photo. So it's this type of thing where your eye kind of comes in, goes up, and back down again. I don't know if you can see my mouse moving or not, but let me try to draw it this way. Yeah, there we go. Well, up here, her eyes produce a leading line, and it bounces off that tree and comes back in. So you're trapped in this visual circle, which makes the picture for a very interesting one. As you say, if the bottom of the dress had been there, there'd be a little bit more base. The only other thing I might do is my eye kind of goes out the picture over here. So I might have just cropped it right about there somewhere. And that way just help contain the eye within the picture and not let it sort of stray away from the main subject.
Excellent. And I agree with you 100%. The color palette really works well. The background, foreground, that's great. Lordell?
Yeah, the color palette is just, it's gorgeous. The dress with the headpiece is just, yeah, I would have loved to take this shot. I think it's gorgeous. My only criticism or something I would have worked on a little bit is just her left hand finger. That's just the one finger that's just sitting there. I would have tried to do a little bit more with that just because her other hand is so animated that one's just kind of lost. Minor detail. This is a great photo. But yeah, the bottom of the dress would have been nice as well.
Excellent. Mark?
This shot is really well done. I love the headpiece. Oh my God, I can't get enough of it. I just think I love how the perspective with the leading lines. Whenever I'm shooting outdoors, it's the first thing I look at, and I thought that idea was really well done. I'm just not a fan of the trees on both sides. Right under the pillar that you can see a little hint of the trees. I would have just personally, I would have cloned that out. But the headpiece for me takes all my attention. So I'm a headpiece guy. I personally would have shot against a window, but I love the perspective with the lines, and the edit. It's shot very, very well. Like I love how the background, nothing's overexposed, and this detail and everything. It's just for me the palm trees. I just would have changed location, but it's really well done. And also, I echo what Lordell says with the fingers. I think that with he said with the left hand, I agree with what he said.
Okay, excellent. Ashley, your thoughts?
Well, I feel really okay. This is going to sound really weird. I love the palm trees in the back because to me, the headpiece really mimics that. And especially the way she's kind of bending into the wind, like it's like a tree bending into the wind. It's just so graceful. And I understand the critique about the left hand. But for me, I see the dress moving with that breeze. And I see that her arms are very symmetrical. So to me, I don't mind it because I see the poise in her body language. It translates to her face. And just, it's a very in the moment shot because of that gust of wind to me. So that's my perspective on it.
I really love your perspective, your take on the image. Absolutely joyful. Francis, your thoughts?
Yeah, I really like the dress, the headpiece, the model, the color palette, the lines in the windows behind her, and I like the palm trees as well. But I don't like that apartment building in the far background. I'd probably try to get rid of that. So then you just have the trees on one side and then this sweeping set of windows behind her, and they kind of frame, they kind of flow down um, past her head and like down her shoulder. It's pretty interesting. But I really like this image. Yeah, it's a great image.
Awesome. Awesome. Anybody want to add anything else before I move on?
I'll just mention, people have all talked about the leading lines, and the photographer achieved that by having a very low perspective. They dropped down low and shot up, so they got more of those leading lines. So they're commended for taking the time to do something out of the ordinary. So too many people just shoot at eye level and don't really take those high shots, those low shots. So the maker essentially went to a little extra effort to improve their image.
Oh, and I think
Absolutely.
I don't know. I believe the photographer actually designed the dress and the headpiece too.
Amazing.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, that headpiece that's what I want to do at some point, but I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
I would suggest is doing the whole shoot again with palm trees.
Yeah.
Because it's just
Yeah.
it really works. Like whoever shot it did a very good job.
Somebody also put thought into the location, the scouting, when they scouted this, finding a location. It might have been a happy accident. They might have just been strolling along and went, oh, this looks like a good spot. Let's take a picture. But because the color palette blends so well, I think that somebody put some thought into choosing this particular location to grab the photo. That would
Well,
be my guess.
she's standing in a column of light as well because you can see the light fading off towards her right shoulder. Like it's kind of just a shaft of light that's just coming straight down her body.
Yes. Yeah. Again, it might have been a happy accident, but I think that somebody put a lot of thought into creating this image, and I love it. All right. Any closing thoughts? Okay. At this point, I'm just going to take a small intermission. The timer went off. We've now hit the 30-minute mark. But we have more photos. I know. I'm really enjoying this. So what I might do, because we're recording it, is I might actually break it into 2 videos to give people the opportunity to continue to watch. But I'm concerned that if we drag it out too long, it'll become a boring photography club meeting. and I've been to too many of those.
Me too.
Mhm.
So I will, unless there's objections, I will continue with a few more photos. And then before I upload the video later, I will cut it in half and so people
Perfect.
can choose.